Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of records I've been picking up in my record collection. The first album here is Kool and the Gang, Emergency. It's an album that came out in 1984 and contains their hit song Cherish. Second album is The Miracles, The Power of the Music. Well, this album is the last album they recorded for Tamla Motown, came out in 1976, and there certainly wasn't much power left in the music, and it would be a miracle for them to get a hit. Smokey Robinson was no longer in the band, and they were running out of steam, and there wasn't much to offer anymore. Disco Fire, 2-record set, K-Tel. It's probably around 1977 or 78 when disco was at its peak. Donna Summer, Samantha sang, a lot of big hits on this, and it's perfect for your disco party. TV Records, a very similar album, 2-album set, the best disco in town. Non-stop disco hits. It has such favorites as Casey and the Sunshine Band, Get Down Tonight, Carol Douglas, Midnight Love Affair, Walter Murphy, The Fifth of Beethoven. And I don't remember the Bay City Rollers having a disco hit, but they have one here called Don't Stop the Music. Thank God It's Friday, the original soundtrack. This was released in early 1978. Just following the success of Saturday Night Fever, they were kind of cashing in on that. The movie had starred Jeff Goldblum and Deborah Winger, and it's a disco album. Disco compilation set with a special 12-inch bonus single. Now for some more serious music. Chipmunk Mania, K-Tel, and this album contains the early Chipmunk hits like Alvin's Harmonica, Witch Doctor, which was a Ross Bagdasarian song. It also on side 2 has almost the entire Chipmunks Beatles album, which is it's quite a treat for Beatles fans. Toto 4, 1982 Grammy Winner of the Year. I'm not an enormous Toto fan, but it does contain 2 of their great singles, Rosanna and Africa, and I thought it was worth picking up just for that alone. Elvis Today. This was released in 1975. It was one of Elvis's last studio recordings prior to his death in 1977. It also contains kind of a hit song that he had, Trouble. Peggy Lee's Greatest. This album contains her great hit, Fever, and that's really why most people would want this album. I think Capitol rushed this album out in 1969 around the time that she was having her big return hit with Is That All There Is? And if we open this up, we can see that it's a radio station copy from CJAV, a radio station in Port Alberni, British Columbia. It says December the 8th, 1969. Port Alberni is on Vancouver Island, and this came out of their collection, I guess. Andre Previn, his trio and orchestra. 1963, Columbia Stereo 360 sound, and I haven't played this album yet. I'm hoping that it's going to be a bit of a light jazz album. Previn did dabble in jazz work amongst other things. What's kind of a curiosity about this album is the record itself. I was expecting the normal Columbia 360 type label on it, but it looks like almost a European Columbia label, even though this is a Canadian pressing, maybe it's a Canadian label. I've never seen this label on a Columbia record before. April Wine, Stand Back. April Wine is one of the great Canadian rock groups of all time. Here they are with a cannon on the front. I think this album's from around 1974. Turn it around and I guess the cannon explodes and there's the guys in the band. And something that I noticed about this album is the fact that one of the cuts on here was produced by Gene Cornish and Dino Danelli of the Rascals at Electric Ladyland in New York. Now in Canada, all of the albums of April Wine were big hits in the 70s. They didn't really strike it in the United States until the late 70s and the 80s, but they're a huge band up here. The last album to show you is David Bowie's Station to Station album. This came out in 1976, and surprisingly this album is his best charting LP. Of all the LPs that David Bowie released, this one hit number 3 on Billboard. It's the highest charting album he ever had, and it followed the Young Americans album, so it was probably feeding off the momentum he had from the Young Americans era. I'm not crazy about the Young Americans album, but this album is a pretty good album, and I'm happy to pick up a copy of this one. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time.